Fans of racing games and sim racing on PC and console have been eagerly awaiting Project Motor Racing. Finally, a feature-complete full release, no early access. What a time to be alive. And with Straight4 Studios behind it, it's developed by industry veterans from the GDR and Project Cars days, and they partnered up with publisher Giant Software, the company behind Farming Simulator. With 71 cars, 28 track layouts, a fresh approach to career mode, mod support, and promising cross-play multiplayer, it sounds like a tasty batch of sim racing cookies. Now that it's here, however, it turns out that it's not quite feature complete. On top of that, there are plenty of problems, thousands of disappointed fans, and the Steam reviews are around 21%. Positive reviews as of this recording. We waited for the day one build, which you, the players, will also experience. Straight4 Studios head Ian Bell touted it as having great racing AI that would be much better than the early access version that the media and content creators played. Vain hope. What happened there? Today, we'll shed light on that and ask whether Project Motor Racing is a diamond in the rough that just needs polishing, or if the problems run deeper. Welcome back to Overtake, I'm Michel, and for this review I played the PC and PS5 Standard not Pro version in their Day 1 2.3 form, referring to patch 1.5.0.0. Let's start with what's undoubtedly Project Motor Racing's biggest strength, its car lineup. From the beginning, early 2000 GT cars were the focus of teasers, clearly as a throwback to the GTR titles a lot of the team created together a good 20 years ago now. As a result, PMR was never in danger of sim racers rolling their eyes about another GT3 sim. While GT3s are part of PMR as modern hypercars and GT4 machines, the majority of the game's cars fall firmly into the classics category. Late early 2000 LMP, 90s GT1, late 80s IMSA GTO, Group C, and even the 1970 sports car beast is the Porsche 917K are all on board for sim racers to enjoy. Other staples of modern racing include the Mazda MX-5 Cup and Porsche 911 992 Cup cars. I'm a bit sad about the absence of Ferrari and McLaren though. As for tracks, PMR comes with 18 of them in total though. Straight4 and Giants cheated a bit with that number. You see, the Nürburgring is counted 3 times. There's the Grand Prix circuit, the Nordschleife without the GP circuit, and the 24-hour layout that combines the two. Anyway you count it, however, there are 28 different layouts available at launch, all of them current day tracks. The list of locations includes must-haves like Spa, Monza, Silverstone, but also tracks that are found less frequently in other sims such as Mid-Ohio or Lime Rock Park. Unfortunately, another classic is missing. Le Mans is not yet part of the track roster. When we talk about cars and tracks, we can also discuss the technical implementation, including the visuals and sound. The car models and surfaces, both exterior and interior, are well done. There isn't much to complain about. The car-specific data dash screens, which include correct fonts and switchable pages, are also included, showing that a lot of effort has been put into this. As with many things in PMR, the car sounds are hit or miss. Some vehicles, such as the American V8s or the 5-cylinder turbo in the Audi 90 Quattro, sound very rich and mechanical and correspond to their real-life counterparts. Others, such as the Porsche 963 LMDH or Peugeot 9X8 that only Yannick cares about, are a bit off. Overall, there's perhaps a little too much transmission whine and mechanical noise, which I personally like, but it's probably not for everyone. The game's audio menu also allows for some tweaking and offers several sliders. The collision sounds seem to be taken straight from fighting scenes in martial arts movies, and they sound a bit awkward when they stack up. The tires are very communicative as well audio-wise. I read a lot of criticism about them during our stream, but I think that's how they can sound depending on the type of the tire. There have certainly been worse tire sounds in the history of racing games. I don't mind them. Another addition is the baked-in crew chief voiced by Ben Collins, who may not serve as a spotter, He will inform you about what's going on without overdoing it.
We're top of the board on pace right now.
Seasoned sim racing veterans might also recognize some of the menu music in Project Motor Racing, as Dr. Steven Basted is part of the Straight4 team. He created the soundtrack to the GTR games and the Project Cars series, among others. So if you've played those, you might even feel some slight nostalgia in PMR's menu. I'm a bit torn about the tracks. Ideally, all 28 layouts would be scanned to accurately represent the details and various asphalt conditions. With the advertised from the ground up and 720 Hz physics, one naturally expects a lot. Tweets like this from GP Labs suggest that Straight4 may still be using assets from the Project Cars era. Similar indications can be seen on the Nordschleife as well. I know the Green Hell better than any other track in real life, so I can probably say the most about this one. Unfortunately, I would rank its implementation, curbs, surfaces, and look behind the competition from ACC, AMS2, Race Room, R-Factor 2, GT7 and others. Overall though, it's okay for a game of this type. The pure graphical detail of the racetracks are also good, although it's a shame there are hardly any real sponsors and licenses are missing. For instance, Brianza is Monza, Derby is Donington, or Lexington is Mid-Ohio. And whenever you can look more into the distance, for example in the Alps here at Spielberg, there are some really ugly textures sometimes in the background. Details are one thing, but what about quality and performance? Project Motor Racing uses the Giants Engine 10 for its graphical framework, a first for a racing game and seemingly a big development challenge. Performance appears to be a mixed bag. PMR seems to be pretty CPU heavy the more AI you use on the track. Even a 5090 won't help if your CPU is mediocre when running a 32-car session. For example, I run an AMD 5800 X3D CPU, and it's impossible to get more than 60 FPS with a full grid, no matter the graphics settings. This surely needs optimization. The track minimap in the HUD and in-car screen seem to suffer from a very choppy frame rate, not a game breaker, but certainly something that should be fixed fairly soon, we find. It's difficult for me to judge whether Project Motor Racing is a good-looking game. Some details, such as the grass and certain light effects, are neat, as are the car models. There are some nice little details, like falling leaves on the back straight at Mosport or birds occasionally flying in the air as you drive past. That's like the particle effects and marbles being thrown at you by other cars. Overall, however, it doesn't look much better than Project Cars 2, an earlier work by parts of this team under the Slightly Mad umbrella released in 2017. Personally, I think it falls short of Automobilista 2, Gran Turismo 7 or F1 series if you have high expectations for graphics. This is even more true once you are watching a replay. Those are locked to 30 FPS and look much worse than the gameplay graphics. And I think out of all the recent racing game releases, Project Motor Racing had the biggest discrepancy between its trailers and the actual game in terms of the look and feel. Another element that will cause a significant reduction in our review score is the lack of proper triple screen support and the absence of VR in the release version. Last year, Ian Bell, the studio head of Straight4, told us in person and on the record that they couldn't ship a non-VR product and that it was crucial for them. VR is supposedly one of the dev team's biggest priorities now post-launch. However, they arguably have other things to take care of first. Before we move on to more controversial topics, we would be grateful if you could do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, please like our videos, subscribe to our channel and activate notifications. You can also support us by becoming a channel member or sending a super thanks. And in case you didn't know, you can become a premium member on our website, overtake.gg. Premium members enjoy extra benefits such as an ad-free browsing experience, special community deals, discounts, and Overtake Turbo, which provides setups, coaching, and one free esports setup per month. And if you love unboxing sim racing gear just as we do, there's a premium member giveaway every month. Another cool feature are community reviews, so you can have a chance to contribute and share your opinion on not yet released hardware or games. Join as a premium member on overtake.gg for just €1 a month. As with any racing sim, the driving physics and handling are absolutely crucial. That's the case in Project Motor Racing as well, which faces quite a challenge considering the scope of its content. Of course, a modern hypercar will handle quite a lot different compared to a 25-year-old GT racer. An all-new physics engine called Hadron is supposed to take care of this. We found this to be a twofold experience. Of course, this is very subjective, but I enjoyed a variety of cars. GTO is my favorite car class so far and shows the potential for a good driving experience in PMR. Most of the GT4s, when we talk about modern classes, were also quite enjoyable. Unlike in the preview version we played a few weeks ago, it seems that there has been some good progress closer to the release already. Unfortunately, there hasn't been enough progress. Hypercars feel off and they lose traction very suddenly. They are almost uncontrollable with a gamepad, at least for me. Then I saw James Baldwin's GT3 analysis, which showed that unrealistic overdriving and forcing the car through corners results in better lap times. It's a recommended watch, and this is clearly not what Project Motor Racing advertised. They promised a, quote, physics engine that delivers unmatched handling realism. However, I can feel the high fidelity force feedback. There are a lot of high-frequency effects and details from the road, such as curbs, transitions to grass patches, and rain gutters in the pit pulling on your steering wheel. Tire load, weight transfer, and other vehicle dynamics elements can also be felt pretty well in most cars, and I simply enjoy attacking curbs in this game. They feel pretty authentic. My advice would be to start with historic cars like GT1, NGT, GTO, or the Porsche 964 Trophy. The career mode offered a glimmer of hope. Motorsport with consequences puts you in the mind of a racing driver. Now, it's just a series of racing events leading up to championships, the scope and calendar of which are not visible in the menu until you register for them. Very immersive and true to real life. When setting up your team, you can choose between 3 different starting budgets that range from close to broke all the way to Lance Stroll mode. There are also different sponsorship models for you to pick, which have different payout conditions. Once that is done, and you specify the region of the world your HQ is in, you are good to start. Although it sounds like a fresh approach, it's really just a simple bank account system in the background. What I like is the authentic mode, where restarts are impossible and the AI is maxed out at 100, a kind of hardcore mode. This mode makes you think differently once you're on the track. You could be en route to a victory payout, but one tiny lapse of concentration could cause a huge crash that might bankrupt your team and end your career. You'll automatically rethink how you take risks, a rare experience in sim racing. But so far there is an issue with any single player mode, a substantial one even. Because any offline racing needs serviceable AI opponents, which is something we recently criticized in the review version of Rennsport. And while the AI in Project Motor Racing is much better in comparison, it still has big issues. The main one is awareness. We have had plenty of situations where we were well alongside them on the inside and the braking zone before a corner or even slightly ahead, and yet they turned in for the apex as if we weren't there. In a mode where you are trying to keep your nose clean in order to keep your repair bills down, this is absolutely an issue. And it doesn't take many bumps for a heavy damage warning to pop up, though it didn't have as much of an impact on the driving as we would have expected based on the wording heavy damage. While the damage model is visually appealing in some cases, it is not fully implemented in terms of the mechanical failures. Straight4 has mentioned to us that this will be improved in the future. Meanwhile, multi-class racing in single player is possible, but not something that you will enjoy currently. Even on a track as wide as Daytona, in most parts the AI will struggle when trying to lap slower class cars, slowing down to their speed instead of passing them. Unlike other sims, there are no further settings like aggression or error rate for the AI. All of this was an issue in the review version, but a day 1 patch that was announced prior to PMR's launch gave us hope that this would be improved. Straight4 CEO Ian Bell has been praising an unreleased version of AI as the best in any sim for me and that they mirror reality, stating that No one is running the day one build, which includes our patches. Mainly because of this, we originally decided to delay our review to give a better, more comprehensive overview of the game as it is launched. What's the point of releasing a review that would be outdated within hours or even minutes? Disappointingly, the day one patch that was deployed just as the game launched had zero improvements to the AI in it. They can't race, they always have a perfect start, sometimes seem to ignore grip levels and physics and so on. A huge bummer, game breaking even. If you want to enjoy the single player content, this alone is a reason to not buy the game. And you got the penalty! You got the penalty! If offline play isn't a viable option, how about online multiplayer then? It's supposed to appeal to both casual and competitive racers, with social races and ranked racing both available, with sets of events that change every week. On the other hand, you can also create your own lobbies, all at no additional cost. With crossplay between platforms also on board, there is a lot of potential in Project Motor Racing's online mode. To jump into online ranked racing, you need to complete a license test racing a Mazda MX-5 for 8 laps around Lime Rock Park in 8 minutes 35 or less. That gets you a ranking and a division to compete in for matchmaking, and you are also assigned ratings for different car classes. Even 2 to 3 days into the release, the online experience is also pretty flawed, unfortunately. I had huge trouble joining any ranked race, stability issues and desyncs are also common. We had a lot of fun in the custom lobbies though. I expected PMR to be more of a single-player experience, but I think the multiplayer has more potential. However, the penalty system hinders this potential. It simply punishes you with like +2 seconds for leaving the track, even if someone pushed you out. The system is also inconsistent. Sometimes you end up in a gravel pit due to a mistake and receive an extra time penalty. Sometimes you can extend track limits and cut without a penalty. It's so poorly implemented that I can't believe it. At this point, it is probably unnecessary to mention that there are no safety cars, no code yellow, nor any other useful rule system in place. The best you can hope for is that there are occasional marshals standing next to the track waving a yellow flag. Project Motor Racing isn't innovative in most areas, nor does it stand out for its features. There isn't even a photo mode, let alone a somewhat presentable spectator mode that could be used to broadcast league races worth watching. There is a long list of missing features. No rolling starts, no radar, no damage display. While multiplayer shows promise at first glance, it needs a lot of improvements and additional features to be enjoyable. As if that all weren't enough, there's also Day 1 DLC. Perfect. The content comes in the form of a GTE and Group 5 pack. It must be purchased in addition to the game's full price if you want access to all the content that is available right now. Now, one small ray of hope is the modding implementation. While there obviously wasn't any community content to check out yet, it was good to see that DLC and mods are seamlessly integrated into the menus. There are already a few livery packs as well as the Praga Bohema to acquire there, and that was as simple as hitting install and download. Setups can also be shared this way, even as packs containing more than one setup. And you can also create your own events and sets of career events, which is also quite cool. This is also supposed to work on consoles, so this seems to be on the way to incorporate curated mods across all platforms, since mods are a big topic in sim racing, but thus far only on PC. This is a great first step for console-based sim racers. To go into a little more detail about the console, the PS5 in my case, it was smooth sailing. It's essentially the same Flawed game as on the PC, with a few deductions. Graphics were more blurry and showed a lot of aliasing and flickering. Replays were an even more negative showing. The PS5 version of PMR doesn't quite make proper use of the DualSense controller's haptic capabilities. Instead of detailed feedback, it's mostly just noisy, meaningless vibration. Playing PMR on a wheel on PS5 worked well out of the box. Using a Fanatec DD+, even the shift LEDs worked immediately and the overall feel was good, though the steering angle didn't match the one on screen, no matter which settings I used. Not even calibration of the wheel base and also in the menus could solve this issue. And as you can see, there is a significant input lag, but this could also be caused by our TV. The wheel's data display did not work with PMR here for this Fanatec wheel. A big difference compared to the PC version is the amount of AI cars on track. While the PC version of Project Motor Racing allows for 32 cars in total in a session, less on some tracks due to pit limitations, the console version's number of AI opponents is kept at 15 or 16 car grids in total. 32 competitors sharing the track is only available in online multiplayer. Also something to keep in mind for Xbox users, the Series S console has a 30 FPS cap, something that is not really communicated anywhere. I also encountered a few funny bugs that I haven't seen on PC yet, like my car standing sideways in the grid after restarting the race. So let's get to the conclusion. The release day was a big letdown and the worst possible start for Project Motor Racing. The feature complete full release didn't happen and nobody won here. Somewhere along the line things went wrong. Clearly, management and the publisher failed by not postponing the game for at least 6 months, I would say, from my feeling. They saw this coming, but released the product anyway. This is the third promising title this year that has left me feeling perplexed after NASCAR 25 and Rennsport. We simply can't give it more than 2.5 out of 5 with the current AI, which really drags the score down. The dev team has already promised to be working on all the issues the game has, but it doesn't seem like the main issues are easy fixes. In that sense, Project Motor Racing feels like an early access, which would have been okay to release. If Straight4 can climb that big mountain of fixes, PMR could still eventually become something very enjoyable, as the driving model shows, at least with part of the car list. What's your take and experience with the game? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.